Hey, what's up guys? Christian here for Kriscoart. Welcome to the first episode of our lighting workshop that we did in collaboration with Aputure. A lot to cover today, and we're talking about how to light a night scene with just using one light. We're starting with like a night type of setup, so we're gonna have some moonlight coming in. I guess to start off, we're gonna try to get a beam going so that it can kind of hit this chair. If there's anyone that is willing to be a subject for our first setup. Cool. Scott. Hey, Chris, good to meet you. So we already kind of are getting somewhere with this. And again, if you are actually on a real location and you have some moonlight coming in, you would be getting a little bit of ambience, which is nice. But right now we're getting a pretty dramatic look, you know, silhouetted.
You wanna add a topper, clean that top up a bit?
Yeah, for sure.
2x3.
If you're dealing with one light, that's one of the challenges too, is you want to make sure that you're directing it where it needs to be and not actually just, you know, shooting out all over your scene, because that's going to kind of take away from dimension and all that. But that's looking all right, but let's say that we want to, you know, we want to read a little bit more in his face. We want to see who this person is, who this character is. So this is where bouncing light comes in. And this is one of my favorite things to do because, again, when you're limited with just having one light, or if you're just dealing with sunlight, having a bounce, something like this. Here we go. This is super handy. Whenever I travel, I literally, this is my go-to thing. This is like an essential, I think, to your tool set. I think, what is this? This is from Newer, if you guys are curious. And the reason why I love this so much is because this actually has a zipper. And this is one surface that doubles up as, I don't know if you guys can see, we got a little gold surface over here. Then we have a white, almost a little translucent, white, softer side. Yeah. And then we have a silvery side on this side. Now the reason why it's nice to have these options is because it's going to give you some difference, some subtle difference, but it's definitely, once you pair it with a light, it's important to know how the light is going to behave depending on which side you're using. So we're going to start off with the silver side. Let's zip this back up. We have our 300D coming in, and you can see that we're getting some light here, and we can see that the direction of the light is kind of coming at this angle. So if I wanted to catch this, that's picking up a little bit of that light, and it's bouncing it back into his face. And to me, this is huge because sometimes, even if you don't have a light and you just have sunlight, this is a great way of shaping things. And I'm a big fan of this because instead of having just a direct light shining at his face and creating all kinds of shadows, we're bouncing light that's already, you know, refracting all over the space, and we're getting a bigger surface to kind of give him a more even illumination. With this silvery side, this is actually kind of the harshest side of all of these. So this is going to give you a little bit more detail in the highlights. It's going to create a sharper, kind of more contrasty image. By the way, it's so satisfying when it pops out. I'm just a fan of that. Sometimes, I mean, I know it's a little embarrassing to say, but I'll like fold it and then pop it out again, then fold it again, pop it out. I like that. But now we have this white surface. Maybe just to for this purpose as an example, we can dim that up a little bit.
Yep.
You have oh, nice. Coming in with the remote.
So you're gonna have to loosen your grip there.
That's probably good right about there. Not a lot of detail. We're still getting some bounce a little bit from here, so we're still reading a little something in his face.
And bringing up the level on him stops him from falling to complete black, which is completely unrecoverable in post. So it kind of gives you a bit more flexibility. If you give a little bit more detail in there, then it's not totally lost and you're not screwed in case later someone comes along and they're like, I need this to be brighter, the client or whatever.
Especially when you're not using a red, you know, if you're using like a DSLR or a crop sensor or something like that, you want to have a little bit of room to play with in post.
And if you look to the histogram in the bottom left corner of the red screen there, you'll see it's called a gold post on the left side, and it's got, see that red? That red is saying that there's clipping information, is losing detail in the blacks. So when you start to seeing that, you start knowing that you're losing information that you won't be able to pull back later.
Sometimes if you're doing moonlit scenarios and you're pumping in light through windows, a lot of times these will read as a little overexposed. They'll be like a little bit too white. I don't know if you're noticing the curtains are a little bit bright. That other side, it's looking really, really bright. So that's when having those gray curtains will really help you with that. If you swap these out with something gray, it might still read as white on camera, but you're cutting down some of that light being captured by this, and it won't look as clipped or overexposed compared to your other ambience level in your room. We don't want to be distracted visually by having our eyes kind of always drifting towards the curtains, because that's going to be a bright spot, and your eyes tend to kind of gravitate towards those areas on screen.
Yeah, and just as the left side clips with the blacks, if you're starting to lose information, same with the whites. So if that's too hot, it's too bright, then you're going to start losing that information, you won't be able to pull it back later. And that will be indicated by a goal post on the other side.
And that's something really important to keep in mind. Don't rely on what you're seeing on camera, on your monitor. Definitely make use of other tools that can really just check what you're doing and make sure that that's right. Monitors change. It's almost like different headphones will give you a different kind of sound quality. Different monitors will also give you a different quality of image. So sometimes monitors will lie to you, and they'll be a little bit deceiving in that sort of sense. And you think you're getting something great, you think you're getting some information, but maybe, I don't know, the brightness value or something is pumped up on that monitor. And then later on, once you get on a proper monitor and you're actually editing this, you realize that you didn't have as much information as you thought you had.
Much better. That's great.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there you can see a little bit of the difference. We're seeing a lot more detail now from these kind of these iron slats in the window that are reading now on the curtains.
And it's still reading as white on the camera, so no one will really know that you've changed them from white curtains to gray curtains.
That reads as a lot more natural. It's subtle, but it's things like that that can really elevate your scene and again make it feel more realistic and more dimensional. Cool, so now that we have this set up, I'm pretty happy with how the background is looking. What we've put in the window there, it's reading nicely, it's not cutting down too much light. We're getting a nice detail in those succulent plants. All right, so going back to the bounce, now that we have this light coming in, you can see how now we can read a little bit more information on his face. All of this can change depending on how you angle the light, how you angle this source.
It'll definitely be a lot more natural looking too if we bring it up horizontally, because then it can kind of imitate like an actual wall in the room. So it'll be a bit more natural because it'll actually be a motivation to it coming in. If we come up underneath, it might be a little obvious that it's a second source coming in or something like that.
Although for certain subjects, if you're getting like a really nasty shadow, like underneath their brow, you can, even if it's like a close-up, I've had situations where I can have them hold a piece of paper or a smaller bounce or even that, and that'll fill in some of those nastier shadows nicely, and it just kind of evens out the face a little bit more and make it a little bit more flattering. This is, if I'm not mistaken, you can find these at Home Depot. Those things are not too expensive, but again, there's a lot of DIY solutions where you can still use both sides, and it'll give you, it's the same idea.
You also have to factor in the catch light in the eye. So if we're bringing in a square source, if you're doing a close-up, you're going to see that in his eye.
Yeah, that's very important. Circular is a little bit more
natural looking.
Organic. By the way, he warned me, don't use words cinematic and organic. He has like a little pet peeve for that. So it looks a little more organic than a circular.
Welcome to Kriscoart. This is cinematic.
So there you go. You can kind of see that difference. That's pretty intense. It's even casting like a whole other shadow on the other side of the wall. And I mean, I guess depending on what is living in this side of the world in your story, this can make sense if it's another window. Or you can, again, flip it. Oops, sorry if I'm blinding people. There we go. You can flip it, and now it's a much softer and more subtle source. Nice. There we go. This way you don't have to worry about it. You can just like set it up there. And also you don't have to...
It's a little more refined too, so you can angle it the exact way, and it's not like shaking
And it's not
around.
moving around, because windows don't usually do that. So yeah, we're getting a nice subtle key. I'm kind of starting to buy this as a nighttime, and this is not bad considering that we're only using one light. And of course, you can keep playing and adding different sources of bounce. So if we want to edge him a little bit more and shape him, if you had a harder source of light, bounce it from there, bounce it from here, you can really get crazy with this and really shape light in whatever way you want and really add dimension to your scene. We could even shine a light on this surface, and we can still create an indirect type of lighting that way. So that it's, again, the same principle kind of applies. Instead of just blasting light to the subject, which could create some harsh shadows. Of course, you can diffuse it, but there's nothing quite like, aiming a light at a bigger, softer source and having that light kind of bounce back on our subject.
And
so there we go.
The further away it is, the more natural it'll probably look too.
Yeah.
Chris, we saw it originally at 5600. Why did you guys go to 32? Was it?
Yeah,
lights?
that's a great question. So at the moment, let's see, we have a 300D, so that's daylight balance. The color temperature is definitely going to affect the overall look from the camera. So if we want to get a more cooler look, you know, we're warming things up in terms of color temperature. And then if you want to have it read as, you know, white or read properly, then you would balance to around 5600, which is what it's
so
outputting in
we
daylight.
can demonstrate that real quick too.
Yeah.
5600 is going to start looking very warm, like over around here. And that's not the look we're going for this particular moonlight setup.
If you want to keep that white balance, if you have practicals or other lights that you want it to read in a certain way, you can definitely do that. You can add some gels, maybe some CTB in front of that. Keep in mind that whenever you're doing that, whenever you're adding anything in front of lights, that's always going to cut down some light. But that's why if we're starting off with one light and we're trying to get the most out of that and out of what we're seeing with camera, that's why you would maybe kind of play around with a little bit of the white balance.
Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a like. And if this is your first time on the channel, consider subscribing for future videos about filmmaking, lighting, and editing. If you want to know more about what's coming up, follow me on Instagram because I'll post it there first. And if you want to let me know what you're most interested in seeing next, definitely let me know in the comments section below, and we can make that happen. I would like to thank again my friends Gavin Ash and Kevin Terrell for helping me with this workshop and sharing their information and knowledge. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Chris for Kriscoart, and I will see you next time.